Hi everybody, welcome to Rambling Toffee. I'm Mark. I hope everybody has had a wonderful new year. Getting through all the miserable weather out there and really cold and everything else. If you are, I'm doing something new at the moment for the podcast. I'm also doing a video as well simultaneously. So if you are watching this video and not listening to it on the podcast as per normal, you might see in the background it looks like a bit of a mess. It's in my spare room, and yes, hopefully it'll be cleared at some point, so be a little bit more fresh and a little bit more um, easy on the eye because it looks like a bomb site hit it basically. But there we go. So at this moment, I would just want to say yet again, welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I hope your New Year's going well as it possibly can do. Um, but being an Evertonian at the moment, well, nothing changes really. As you can guess, a few weeks ago we were coming off 4 wins on the bounce. Everything was positive in the garden and rosy, and we were just really enjoying the performances that we were getting from the team. It seemed to have clicked. Obviously, since then, injuries have come in, suspensions have come in. And basically the amount of games that we've had over December. I know Sean Dyche has actually said something in the presser regarding too many games over December. It needs to be spread out more. For not just for Everton, for all clubs really, because there's just so much football. I couldn't believe the amount of football that we had. We had obviously a Carabao Cup competition as well, an opportunity to get to semi-final, and all the effort was put into that. And it was just it just we'll get going somewhere. We were gaining momentum, gaining confidence as a team. But the squad, so Finn, and the players that we have on the bench, are they good enough? Can they come on and actually make an impact? Can they come in and actually challenge the players that we currently have in the team to actually come and make a statement and take up the opportunity that they have in those games that they've had the opportunity to have that it's not worked out for them or they've not performed well. It's like Danjuma as an example. We brought in good old Michael Keane again. You know, in one of the games, and he did well against for Burnley, obviously when needed, because of course with suspensions to Jared Banthwaite, and and he came in with Godfrey, played a formation, it worked, and his performance was really good, and he scored. But then we saw the other side of it when we played a 5 against Wolves, and he's not a Premier League player anymore. I think personally, it's just my personal view. I think he needs to move on whenever that will happen. I don't know why Sean Dyche has this fascination with him to keep on playing him. I know you talk about experience and all the rest of it, but week in, week out, when he has played, he's consistently always made errors. In yes, and it's very few and far between where we get a performance from him like we did against Burnley. So, and the fact that Sean Dyche decided to go with a 5 against Wolves, and you know, and the players playing a system that they don't play that often. And as much as, and he had a few days, and this is about amount of games that have been played, and obviously he's doing it to try and to keep the performance going, keep playing well the way that we are and the way that we have been playing. But you know, it didn't work, and you can see the legginess, you can see the tiredness, the energy and effort that they're putting in. And this is, we can be critical of the team. I've been critical of Michael Keane there as an example, but he's been put in a situation where he played a 5 at the back, and they wanted to use, your left and right backs to be more wing backs, and it was against a team of Wolves who were playing well at the moment, and they got and they deserved the performance. They deserved the result that they got, and and for that's how it is. And we had to come back. We had the FA Cup game. Obviously, it was an opportunity. And what does he do? He reverts back to the similar system that we've been playing for a long length of time. And he changed it. He brought Danjuma in. He brought he brought James Coleman back in, and it was and the goalkeeper as well gave Pickford a bit of a rest, and it was a good performance. It was workmanlike. It was back to what we've seen and what they can do on the field. What they've been doing of late, and that was the positive shine from that. We had opportunities to win that game last night. And I digress anyway. So I mentioned, Dan Juma's come on and had opportunities in games, and he's just never taken them. He played well at Spurs when he came on. He made a little bit more of an impact. So there was an opportunity there, and that opportunity is going to come to him more now because of the injury to Dwight McNeil. I digress. I'll speak about the game last night, but yeah, what is actually going on at the moment? You see, for me, I wanted to come on here, talk about the football, and I will do. We'll talk about the Palace game last night. But with the incident that happened last night in that game, and the incidents that happened in the Man City game, the Tottenham game, and also the Wolves game, something I didn't see or didn't get until later on, that, that Dwight McNeil got an arm put round him in the game. Nothing happened. VAR can see that. Could have told the referee if the referee didn't see it. Nothing happened. And again, it's happened twice now. We had the incident after Chelsea game where Chelsea player, Palmer, I can't remember which one it was, the player was, went up to, I think, was it Onana, and basically, Nathan Patterson, and did exactly the same thing, put his arm around him, trying to strangle him. And again, but on that occasion, he said, there was nothing to answer to it. So nothing happened. So I'm thinking, what? That's threatening, that's strangling someone. If you do that on the street, you'll be arrested and taken into custody for doing something like that, and attempted murder if you're trying to kill someone. But then you did that, but nothing happened again. And this is the frustrating thing. And basically, I come on here and I do my podcast week in, week out, and basically every time I'm talking about, I want to talk about Everton, talk about the stadium, talk about the takeover that's still ongoing. If it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I want to talk more about that, yes. But I want to also talk about the team and the performance and how we're playing. But I'm always talking about VAR calls, bad decisions by referees, week in, week out. And it's getting to a point that I said on social media last night, and I'll go into that game in a minute, about the performance and everything else, but I'll go into what happened with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and that sending off. But the game's gone. I've been supporting Everton since 1983, before we were great in the league, winning titles and winning in Europe and having a great football team and a big club and everything about them. And I've been absolutely privileged to be able to see that team. I've been absolutely it's been great to be able to actually have that opportunity. And also, also winning the FA Cup in '95 and the Joe Road Dogs Award team and the David Moyes period of time as well, and growing up as an Everton fan, all it's always been about is football and what you see on the field, the game. It's sport, it's competitive, it's everything you want. I played football for years. I got so much out of it. And for years and years and years, we never talked about the referee and the referee's decisions that were made. There was never, ever any conversation in the pub or in the bar or in the ground or wherever it may be, at home or out with your mates talking about the games. It was always about how your team played. And basically, what we got, we come to now, and yes, there's always errors by referees. Before VAR came in, there was always errors. Week in, week out, same scenario. We moaned about it. We couldn't do anything about it. But we move on. But it seems to have crept in more and more since VAR has come in and is being used as a technology to make things easier for the referee on the field, to make it easy for, that decisions that are put out there, from sending offs, from, offside decisions. The best thing that is working is the goal line technology. That's worked perfectly. And, buzzer goes in there, you go, got to go. That's eradicated that issue. But offside decisions, when somebody's been booked and it should have been really been a red, it's supposed to be a helpful tool. The person in a box in Stockley Park, somewhere down the road, somewhere miles away, can get into the ear of the referee and go, I think you got that one wrong. I think that person should be sent off. Come and have a look at the screen and I'll guide you through what I think. And what they have is what we have when we're watching the TV, is slow motion. We can see it all in action. It's slowed down. So when you see it that way, it looks different. It looks bad. It looks like, oh, is that a sentence? And you start doubting yourself. But what actually has to happen is VAR, it's got to be there if it's an obvious error. It's on the field, it's obviously wrong. But what also and they go to, we think this. That referee should go back to him and, I think that's not a foul. I let play go on. I'm letting that be. And then it's accepted. Then they can have their little to-dos afterwards and say, well, I think I'm right. It should be the referee on the field. The referee last night, Colin Kavanagh, how many bad decisions he's made for Everton over the last 2-3 years. I can spend hours talking, Manchester United game, any other game, different games that have taken place over the Tarkowski when he was at Burnley, the foul on Richarlison, and the penalty obviously for Man City. God, which we should have had. Who was the manager? Who was the actual official? Colin Kavanagh. And you got Craig Pawson, and this is the worst thing. I can know names of referees. I don't want to know the names of the referees. I'm not a fan of a referee. I'm a fan of the football team. So why is that the case? Why do I have to, when I'm talking on this podcast, want to talk about the Blues and how they're doing, even if we're losing, and having a good moan about how bad we're playing or whatever else? That's what I want to talk about, and I can get it out of my system. But I'm seething talking about bloody referees making bad decisions. On that occasion, and I'll talk about last night, okay, I've missed out Wolves, bad performance, everything else. It was just one of those games, we move on. We come to the Palace game, we set up right, we bring in some fresh legs, change it a little bit, get Danjuma in, let him get in an opportunity to stake a claim to actually challenge Dwight McNeil. It looks like that's going to be, he might have got that place anyway because Dwight McNeil might be out for our next game against Aston Villa. We'll soon find out about on that subject because it was a bad injury. It looked a bad injury, but it looks like it's a swollen ankle of some sort, which Sean Dyche says, so hopefully not as bad as it looked. So fingers crossed on that. So Danjuma may have that opportunity. Came in last night, played well to certain periods of the game. He tired off a little bit later on. He wasn't as impactful in the second half as he was in the first half. He had some opportunities, and we should have, again, like most of our season, we should have put them in the back of the net. But as per usual, it's not happened again. But it's a 0-0 draw, and it starts. The game, it's absolutely peeing it down. Thousands of Evertonians again travelling on a Thursday night, started the new year. I bow to you. I mean, I don't go to away games, I go to home games. But the support, you guys go week in, week out, home and away, get right behind the team. Sunshine, rain, sleet, snow, wind, anything, you just go and get behind the team. And you've got nothing more to ask for, really. The team can go out there and they perform better. But all I'm talking about is, again, the VAR decision. which is one of the worst I think I've ever seen. And it's not just because I'm being biased, being an Evertonian, and it's against my team. It was a shocking decision. It was a good tackle. There was no malice. There was nothing in it to indicate that it was a sending off. Even the referee on the field, who was yards away from it and could see it, thought it was a perfectly legit challenge, legit tackle, got the ball, pulled away. There was, and it play on. We had got to the other, and it got into a position of an opportunity to score. Obviously, it didn't happen that way. And then went out of play. Paulson's in his ear. Come and have a look at this. Nah, that's a sending off. And this is where referee on the field needs to be stronger. And as I mentioned, they're not being strong, they're weak. They're taking it on board. They're thinking, because it's in real time for them, and they think that was fine challenge and everything was fine with it. You've got the good old VAR who can go on their little video and can go fast and slow it down. And then they freeze frame the position where the foot was stood was high and it was going towards Klein leg or shin, and didn't even go near it. It may have touched him a little bit, but there was no malice, no nothing. And he freeze frames the little bit where this is the stud's going in. And when you see that, it does look a bad challenge. So the referee has yes, he's sent off. And I believe Everton have put an appeal in to get that rescinded. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But it goes back to the story we talk about Man City, the penalty decision on that game, the Tottenham game with the foul, supposedly, which led to Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal in the Tottenham game, got us back into it at that point, supposedly at that point. And that, again, referee on the field saw it, thought it was fine, and linesman did in that game. But good old, I think it was Oliver this time, in the VAR truck, miles away in Stockley Park. I've slowed it down. That's a foul. You need to bring it back. So you see. So again, we see it. We watch it on the TV. We see the replays. We see everything. And what we see is that's a perfectly legitimate tackle. It's a challenge between two players just because he's gone down. It's a 50-50 tackle. It's what it is. The penalty hits his hand. And he's trying to protect himself. What else could he bloody do? So you see, and it's getting more and more week in, week out. And we talk about, Wolves early in the season. They had some really bad calls as well. And of course, they're doing, their demonstration banners, and protesting and everything else. And it's just like, when's it going to end? I've not once today, nobody from PGMOL come out and said, apologise like they always do for this mistake, or are they admitting it as a mistake? Yeah, looks like they're doing it, probably not saying anything because they think they're right still, which every man and his dog who watched that game last night knows that was not a sending off offence. And this is where it's got to a stage now where the game's gone. And as I mentioned, I've been supporting Everton most of my life. I've been the ups, downs, and as we continue going in the wonderful roller coaster that is for this season and trying to understand, not just what the team's doing, and they're going, we're having bumps in the road. We've lost 3 on the bounce. We've just got a draw last night. Okay, so we're still in the draw for the 4th round. So, there's still an opportunity to get to the next round of the FA Cup. But for me, the game's gone. And it's not just, I will continue to support the Blues. I'll continue to go and watch them. I'll continue to be as passionate, as driven as I can be. I think about Everton every day. It's always a thought in my mind every second of the day. wanting to know what's going to happen with the takeover, how the stadium's doing, and the 10-point deduction that's ongoing as well. When we're going to find out more about, is it going to be rescinded or something like that? For me, these decisions are not just affecting Everton. They're affecting other clubs within the Premier League, but something has to give. And it just feels like we can keep on banging our head against the wall. We can keep on saying, please do something about it, sort this out. But they're not listening. They don't care. And as much as they can release audio and they can do this once every few weeks, they can put something out there and show a few games where if there's been instances trying to explain what's happened. But we need more than that. I think my personal view is VAR needs to be taken, put to one side, and left for the rest of the season, and let the referees on the field do their job. And if they make mistakes, they make mistakes, and we can be still as critical as that. But at the end of the day, this VAR is not working. It's not fit for purpose. The people in that box are not fit for purpose. And if you think about it, the referees are the same referees. They all know each other. They're all pals or everything else. And they're all going to back each other up as well. And when we talk about, from my point of view, what I feel about, the Premier League and regarding the breach in rules and our 10-point deduction, and my feeling that they are a corrupt organisation, and I will be honest enough to say that, and they just care about the 6 clubs, the teams at the top end of the table, who's going to bring the more money in for them, and they will, something like Manchester City with 115 breaches, it's going to get heard. Is it later this year, I believe? But it's going to be until next season when we find out if they have breached and what kind of punishment they're going to get. And if and they seem to be, we'll leave you for a bit. Why aren't they doing it now? Why aren't they not got an independent commission going? Investigating them now. With Everton's case, it was like that was it, straight on. Let's investigate you. And now we all know the full story here, but we've got that going on. We've got a takeover going on. Where is it going to actually happen? And if it doesn't happen, could we be going into administration? Because we'll have nobody wanted to take over the football club. It's back in Mashiri's hands. Can he afford to keep the club going? I don't know. So we got that scenario. And of course, good old 777 partners still out there in their other clubs that they have all got problems. I think it was Genoa today, I believe. There was a story about that. And, are they the right people for Everton Football Club? So you see, we've got this points deduction going on. We don't know when that's going to come. So with the Premier League corruption, with so much that they care about, they care more about the money from the TV contracts and the TV deals throughout the world, and from the Premier League and getting all this money. The Premier League, like Sky paying all this money, and TNT paying all this money to show Premier League football. And they are, as TV companies, of course, it's a TV spectacle. Obviously, they want the top teams. That's where they're going to get their audience from. And if you're not just in UK based, if you're worldwide based, in America or Australia or wherever else, and you're a fan of those teams, you want to see those teams. And if they are not there, the ratings will drop. And that means those TV stations like NBC and other ABC or affiliates like that, they'll pull out. They will not buy the deal. They won't want the TV deals. They won't pay the money to the Premier League. They won't say we want to do it because of those clubs. And the simple Liverpool. I'm going to say the main 3 teams: Liverpool, Manchester United, and Arsenal. Chelsea, Man City. Man City, they just keep on winning, but they probably have got a few fans. But Man City, Tottenham, and Chelsea, they are not. If you look at history, You can understand the main fan bases, the major fan bases are going to be those three clubs, and that's what it's all about. They get more. They get more games on the TV. They get more. They're shown more than anybody else, and that's what it's all about. And if they can have, a great title chase, they will create a story for it. They'll make it. They'll make it in a way that they want to drive this title chase right to the end of the season, so it gets bums on seats. You in your living room watching them games, getting into it. And if you're a Liverpool fan or United, Arsenal, Man City, and Chelsea, but predominantly if it's those three clubs and Man City included in this, because they're probably going to be up there, Tottenham maybe as well at the season, they're going to create. And if they feel that one team's going further and further away from the other teams, like Man City as an example, they're going to try and find ways to pull them back, to get Liverpool, who seems to be their favourites at the moment. Let's get Liverpool. Liverpool need to be winning lots of titles, and it seems to be all the producers or editors or people at Sky TV seems to be Liverpool fans, and it seems to be week in week out when I do watch a game on there. If it's not Everton in it at the moment, I don't really watch most other football matches except Everton, of course. But if there's a game on there that I see, it feels like watching LFC TV, and that's just how I feel, and that's what it feels week in week out. And it's just they can change the narrative, and the only way you can change the narrative is by the referees. And this is where I could talk about corruption within the Premier League, but is there a bit of corruption going on within the PGMOL? They'll deny it. They'll say no, that's not the case. We're doing what we do. We're doing for the best. Following the rules, following the laws that we have in place. But obviously, after last night's game, there was several incidences where not just the Calvert-Lewin sending off, Beto was manhandled in the box and should have been a penalty. But supposedly somebody said that they checked that and it was done in a few seconds. How can you check something within a few seconds and thought that was not a penalty? The player was bear hugging him, absolutely wrapped his arms around him and not allowing him to even get a shot in, and he just decided to go down. So there's another decision, and there was another challenge from, I think, was it Anderson? I think earlier on in the game when he fouled, I think it was Beto, and got him on the shin. What happened with that one? So I digress anyway. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying what is actually going on with the Premier League. Think it's we're not. They think we're not corrupt, but they're not saying anything. They don't talk. They don't communicate. Andy Burns put stuff out there, asking him questions about the mitigating factors of why, we went over the 20 million, in our, 20 million in our finances. They were mitigating factors. And of course, we could talk about, the Russian situation where we lost £220 million for stadium rights and everything else when the war with Ukraine started. And today, is it Bing or something that has a link to Russia, is actually going to be a shirt sleeve sponsor for Chelsea. And the government and the Premier League have accepted, just, oh yeah, that's fine, there's no issues with that. But they have a link to Russia. So what's that all about? We have Chelsea here who spends £1 billion in transfers and basically, and then gets this, we can get a shirt sponsor, it'd probably be enough that they'll wipe out, all the PSRs, which, are on them at the moment because of the amount of money that they're spending. Are they being investigated? Is there any kind of chase on that? He's got, nothing. Don't hear anything. And again, I put it to the national media. They don't talk about it. They like talking about Everton and all the problems we have because it's easy. It's easy target. They don't mind Everton being kicked out because they're nobody. They'd rather be relegated and put in the Championship. That's what they want to do. and basically that's what it is. And then they decided, oh, what's what decisions that we've had of late from the referees and that sort of thing. No wonder why we call out corruption there, because something's not right. It seems to be convenient that it seems to be, let's keep on punishing Everton in so many ways because we actually bother, we actually shout, sound it out. We actually stand up and say something about it. We actually get it out there. We actually, protest and demonstrate. We actually do think social media. We actually do banners and cards and lots of stuff to get how we feel because we have been wronged. Yes, we breached the rule, but there are other clubs further up the table that have done worse than us, and nothing is happening with them at the moment. It's just like leave it be. You have a situation at the moment where Nottingham Forest could have breached their PSR, and that'll be announced in the next week or so. We'll find out. Hopefully we'll be all right with our accounts going into 22-23. So we'll see what happens with that. But it should be okay from hearing from Paul. The ESC has said that we're fine. So that should be okay moving forward. And that's why we feel these decisions are being made, and it just seems that they're too convenient. And it seems to be ever since the Super League thing was around, and the former CEO of Everton got up and Everton made a statement and absolutely ripped into these clubs and should have get points deducted and relegated and all the rest of it, and actually called it out. The club called it out, which we're trying to kind of at the moment with the decision last night, calling out, the referee association last night, calling out. Sean Dyche was being didn't really want to say what he really felt about it, but someone at the club needs to be shouting this out because it's getting week in, week out, and it's uncalled for. And yes, and it just feels that what happened in that few days where 6 clubs could have left the Premier League and gone into this Super League, and basically we had a go, we stood up for it, and we said it was all wrong and something should be done about it to these 6 clubs. And it just feels like either the 6 clubs have been in the ears of the Premier League and said, look, if we don't like what they're saying, we need to punish them in any way possible, in any game or anything like that. Let's try not make it. Let's make sure that they continue to perform and get results and do all the rest of it. But every so often, we'll give them bad decisions, and then do nothing about it. Maybe I'm just being a conspiracy theorist here. Maybe I'm all wrong, but it's just how I feel at this moment in time. But I'll just say the game's gone, and for me, if it continues to go in this way, if they don't sort this out within the refereeing situation, and the Premier League in general, we need an independent regulator. We all know that needs to happen. Hopefully, it'll happen after the general election. It needs to be put in place because the Premier League need to be investigated. The PGMO needs to be investigated. I feel that they're ruining the game in this country. VAR can be used properly. We need better referees that can do the VAR job and not what they can do on the field. Something has to give here, and I'll leave it at that, really. Anyway, that's just my take, just my feelings at the moment. I hope hopefully something will happen in the future, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to get sorted. We don't hear anything from PGMOL. They don't talk that much. They're not communicating. They're trying to bring sin bins in and all sorts of crap, trying to make the game more. I don't know. I give up. Anyway, on that note, yes. So we move on to the Aston Villa game, which is next Sunday. Hopefully, Decore will be back for that game. We'll find out more about Dwight McNeil. Hopefully, he'll be a few extra days because it's nice to have a break after all the games throughout December. So it'd be nice for the players to have a break, unwind, refresh and get themselves ready for the Villa game, and we can go again. Hopefully, get another good performance in. It's going to be a tough one against Villa. who are doing really, really well at the moment. So, yeah, so that's the next one. I just want to thank everybody again for listening to my podcast and now a video form. So this will be also on YouTube. So if you want to see me and the rubbish behind me, then feel free. It'll be great to have you seeing me instead of listening to me all the time, or listen to or do both. I don't know. That would be interesting. But yes, well, thanks again for the support as usual. Without it, I don't think I would be doing this up to now. I started in June, I think it was, and I've got so many great people out there who are following me, who listen to what I do, listen to my content, and all I do is just ramble on about Everton, and I just go off adjacent to different things. But I love doing it, positive or negatively. If it's coming on here for a rant like I have done today about the refereeing and everything else, about the Premier League and all that sort of thing, then you know that's one thing. I'll come on here talk about anything positive about the club, like the stadium and the team when have been performing well and all the good stuff from that. But I'll always appreciate the feedback that you give me, and I always appreciate the support that you're giving me because I want to grow this. I want to get it, to the next level. I want, do it more often. I want to add. This is why I'm trialing the video, doing a video, and also I'm doing it to podcast as per usual because I just want to grow it and to get as many of you guys just to listen in. But also in the future, at some point, I need to do it. Find the time is to be more interactive. So what I want to do is to have a second podcast, second show, which will allow you on to the show and we can interact, talk about it, talk about the Blues, talk about the now, but also talk about the past, talk about your memories and everything else that comes to Everton. We're moving away from Goodison in the next couple of years, and what it'd be like, what the memories of being at Goodison Park, and what the best games that you've been to, or what memory you can remember at that time, and all those sort of things. So that's what I want to do in the future. So keep an eye out, keep an ear out, and see, and I would look forward to when that day arrives. So anyway, on that note, thank you again for listening, for watching. I will do another podcast next Monday. All I can say is take care, have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday week. So take care and bye bye.